Yeah, they trampled everybody.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things that were popular in the 1980s.
I'm telling you.
You can really see a difference now.
Yeah, you can.
For this list, we're looking at the biggest pop culture and fashion trends of the 1980s. What do you most associate with the 80s? Let us know in the comments. Number 10, Pac-Man. With apologies to Bill Murray, our favorite 80s Ghostbuster is a yellow circle with a big appetite. The 1980s was a breakthrough decade for video games, and Pac-Man, introduced to arcades in 1980, was a key figure in this boom.
In the US alone, it took in $1 billion in quarters on 100,000 arcade games during the first 15 months. Pac-Man fever had arrived, and it brought every kind of memorabilia with it.
Like all great arcade games, playing Pac-Man is a matter of paying attention to your surroundings and thinking a few steps ahead of your enemies, which in this case are some deceptively adorable and colorful ghosts. Pac-Man fever was so great in the 80s, it inspired a hit song by that very name, as well as a Saturday morning cartoon show.
Any last words before we chomp ya?
Just one.
It also showed the crossover potential with introducing Japanese creations to Western audiences. Pac-Man is unquestionably one of the best video game characters ever.
Get him, Pac-Man!
Number 9, mullets.
It's a little too long up top. Maybe if I combed it all the way down, it would look
Damn,
more
that's
like emo
beautiful,
hair.
bro. You look like
man.
you look like a damn raccoon that's going to prom.
Business in the front, party in the back, and ridiculous all around, the mullet has basically become shorthand for a bad haircut. But as much as your parents might not want to admit it, mullets were everywhere in the 80s.
It's one haircut Americans love to hate.
People of all genders and income levels were rocking this do, which wasn't named until 1994 when the Beastie Boys released their song Mullet Head. Although some were able to pull the mullet off better than others, it's still one of those looks that's best kept in the past, along with hair crimping. Of course, that hasn't stopped modern revival attempts. Perhaps the mullet is just here to stay.
Oh, you don't want to take it out. Your whole audience will say, "Oh my God, that guy has a mullet."
No, I like it. I like it.
Number 8, shoulder pads. It wasn't just football players wearing shoulder pads in the 80s. Career-minded women turned to gowns outfitted with shoulder pads as a means of asserting their professionalism along with their style.
I had shoulder pads on everything small. My small dog walks around with shoulder pads. I think everyone should wear shoulder
I
pads.
have them in my
if they're
pajamas,
small.
T-shirts, everything.
Shoulder pads.
You could take a simple T-shirt, add pads, belted, look terrific.
Some of these were so elaborate, they looked like they could take an eye out.
God, Veronica, drool much? His name is Jason Dean.
Although shoulder pads and women's fashion went back to the 1930s and the days of Elsa Schiaparelli's influential designs, they took on a new life in the 80s, especially for fans of Dynasty.
You're bluffing, Crystal. You know you are. Am I? Watch me.
While their popularity declined in the 90s, shoulder pads have made a comeback in the 2000s and 2010s. Seeking a look that's glamorous but also commanding? Try some shoulder pads. Number 7, Garbage Pail Kids. Do you find baseball cards to just be too ordinary? Then check out Garbage Pail Kids cards. That is, unless you have a particularly weak stomach.
I was dying earlier today, and then I died. Now I'm dead.
A parody of the massively popular Cabbage Patch Kids dolls, these grotesque sticker trading cards were, like all good things, loved by kids and reviled by adults. With all kinds of fluids emerging from these cartoon kids and other ickiness, it's kind of amazing the Garbage Pail Kids became as popular as they did.
I think it's terrible that they would put something like this on TV. Don't you?
There was even a TV series, which never made it to air in the US, and a movie, which is so bad, it brings new meaning to the term unwatchable.
Well, perhaps it would have been safer to lock them away from the world.
Number 6, Cabbage Patch Kids Dolls. As big as the Garbage Pail Kids were, they weren't nearly as popular as what they were parodying. Cabbage Patch Kids revolutionized dolls for a generation.
They don't walk, talk, wet their pants, or grow hair. They don't do much of anything. But they have upset the supply and demand cycle to an astonishing degree.
While other dolls were merely purchased at the store, Cabbage Patch Kids were adopted, with papers and all, meaning a much closer bond could be formed.
You're the only one I
love you.
Demand for these dolls became so intense, riots broke out in 1983 among shoppers desperate to get their hands on one. Numerous celebrities have had Cabbage Patch dolls made in their image, including President Barack Obama and Al Roker. And each year, more than 200,000 people visit Babyland General Hospital, where the Cabbage Patch story started.
Fake doctor and nurse play out the myth with completely straight faces.
Birth of a bouncing baby boy. His name is James. He weighs 2 pounds, 2 ounces, and is 16 inches long.
Number 5. Teddy Ruxpin.
Sometimes I think back to that Christmas morning when I was 8 years old. I wish I'd just gotten a Teddy Ruxpin.
Say that one more time.
Teddy bears also took on a whole new life in the 80s with Teddy Ruxpin, a storytelling animatronic bear that was equal parts enchanting and creepy.
Hi there. My name is Teddy Ruxpin. How are you today?
Fine.
Put in a cassette and power Teddy on, and he'd talk to you like he had just come to life. Oh, and he would also move his head and blink, which was a lot more unsettling after Child's Play was released.
Hello, John. Over here. Hi. It's me, Chucky. What do you think?
But the scariest thing about Teddy Ruxpin had to have been the cost. These bears cost upwards of $60, and that's not factoring in the cassette and book prices as well.
Mommy, can I have that toy like he has?
Oh, sweetheart. We really can't afford that right now.
And like seemingly everything else in the 80s, there was a cartoon. Number 4. Leg warmers. The intended purpose of leg warmers was to, well, keep legs warm in cold weather. They eventually caught on with dancers who used them to prevent cramps and muscular injuries. In the 80s, it reached a point where leg warmers were less about warmth or dance safety and more about style.
For year-round fashionable style, cable knit leg warmers. It's a look that's all yours.
Fashion-conscious fans of movies like Flashdance brought leg warmers into their ensemble. With colorful designs that went great with all kinds of outfits, leg warmers were the perfect way to make a statement. It might have been a fad, but fad doesn't have to mean bad.
Leg warmers. I miss you. Where are you?
Number 3. Slap bracelets. Want a bracelet that's more fun to put on than it is to wear? Try a slap bracelet. These accessories were introduced in 1983 by, of all people, Stuart Anders, a high school shop teacher. What might have sounded like a ridiculous concept became a best-selling idea, with kids everywhere slapping them on their arms and other parts of their body. This concerned many parents, especially due to the low-quality material of some of these bracelets. Slap bracelets were even banned in some schools, but their popularity continued in the 90s. Even now, you can find slap bracelets just begging to be smacked onto your wrist. Just remember, safety first. Number 2. Rubik's Cube.
Mr. Twistle, listen, this is a very important... I'm sorry. This thing's impossible.
Who knew a multicolored cube could be so exciting? 80s kids everywhere spent countless hours trying to solve their Rubik's Cubes. And while it was usually a futile effort, there was nothing like that excitement of getting the colors to start to match.
Once you get your hands on Rubik's Cube, you may never be able to put it down.
Invented by Hungarian sculptor Erno Rubik in 1974, these cubes became international sensations in 1980, and they're still pretty popular. There are even competitions where speed cubers try to solve them as quickly as possible. You can solve one if you put your mind to it. It just might take a few hours, or years. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Walkman.
Raise your hand if you know what this is. Should have thought this through.
Before the iPod, iPhone, or any modern handheld music playing device, there was the Walkman.
He introduces the only cassette player as small as a cassette case.
Created by Sony, this gadget was more than just a way to soundtrack your day. It introduced us to a whole new world, one in which listening to music comfortably wasn't just confined to being home or in the car. Numerous models were introduced in the 80s, including one with noise reduction and another with auto reverse. Although Sony ended production of the cassette player Walkman models in 2010, their impact will never completely go away. The next time you queue up your favorite tunes on your digital media device, thank the Walkman for helping to start it all.
The Sony Walkman. The world hasn't been the same since.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.